Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the third section of Chapter 2. In this section, we'll talk about the models of communication. There are three commonly used models: the linear, the circular, and the contextualized models. Linear model, one of the earliest and the most useful model, aims to describe the communication process in separate parts, which was made by Harold in 1948. For example, if you say, "I love you" to your husband, you may put into words your feelings that "I love you" and speak the words in the hope that they will be suitably understood by your husband. This is a very famous model and has been used by a lot of communication scholars. It's called a linear model, laying out parts of the process in a line, as if communication is all about sending message from A to B. In fact, communication is not that simple. What sender through what message, through what channel to what receiver, with what effect? Have you found any disadvantages in these models? Yes. There's no feedback in this model. It seems like a one-way communication. Then let's look at what circular model is. He or she puts what he means into a particular kind of code. It's called encoding. The person who encodes it is an encoder. So he encoded his meaning into a message, and it goes to a second person who gets the message and had to decode it. That is, he has to understand it. If it's an English message, he has to read and decode the English message. After he has got this message, he decides to send back some feedback. This time, he himself becomes an encoder, and he sends a message back to the first person who has become decoder this time. So here we have a circular. The first person can then send the second message and goes through the same channel. So this seems to be a more desirable model of communication. This is the exchange model, indicating that communication is at least a two-way process, and that everyone is a decoder and an encoder. That is to say, we have to find some way of putting together and expressing what we have to say, as well as some way of taking in what the other person says. Then let's come to the contextualized model. This model adds the dimensions of situation or surroundings. Context always affects the act of communication. What is a context? All communication takes place within a setting or situation, which is called a context. As Hall puts it, context is the information that surrounds an event and bound up with the meaning of the event. In other words, it is the broad circumstances or situations in which communication occurs. The context includes the physical, social, and interpersonal settings within which messages are exchanged. The physical context includes the actual location of the communicators. Indoors or outdoors, crowded or quiet, public or private, close together or far apart, warm or cold, bright or dark. For example, if you are talking to someone in your living room, you'd better speak in low voice. The social context refers to the widely shared expectations people have about the kinds of interactions about normally should occur in different kinds of social events. This might be a group of friends in a club, or a family meal, or a group of mourners at a funeral. For example, we would communicate differently in the situation of a formal dinner with our boss as compared with eating fish and chips in the kitchen with our friends. And then there's a counter context, which refers to an even broader set of circumstances and beliefs, which still may affect how we took. The interpersonal context refers to the expectations people have about the behaviors of others as a result of differences in the relationships between them.